Peace, what's going on, everybody? Give everybody a chance to scroll on in before we dive into the topic for today. Hopefully you all out there maintaining, having a positive Wednesday, staying productive, conquering those goals, setting bigger and better goals. So hopefully you all having that peaceful, positive, and productive Wednesday. If not, shift that perspective. You control the narrative. Remember that. So if you are having an unfavorable day right now, change the narrative. Got a simple topic I want to break down today, revolving around healthy eating, man. Just giving y'all some common denominators, some things that y'all can implement into your daily life in order to reach that optimal state of health from a nutritional standpoint. What's going on, Peace Beast Reincarnated? What's going on with you? You know, it's a lot of misinformation out here. It's easy to be misled when it comes to nutritional advice. What's going on, TZ Frank? How y'all living? I'm maintaining Beast Reincarnated, man. Maintaining. Focus on elevation, as always. As always, man. Just appreciating the fact that I'm here another day, able to build on this knowledge, man, and disseminate what I've learned. How y'all holding up? But yeah, I want to break down some simple things, man, on the nutritional end, man. The best way to do it, man, is to study the populations that are living proof of what we are aiming for. So if you got populations out here that are living well into the hundreds, 90s, 80, and they out here more active than some of us on this particular side of town in our 30s and 40s, then why not study those populations and implement what those populations are doing? Yes, sir. Stay away from that yogurt, fam. Stay away from it. You don't need that yogurt. But also, I want to build on the math for today. Today is the 2nd. So that's wisdom. I know you all have heard me build on the 2 previous videos, man. 2 is wisdom. And all that means is just the knowledge put into motion. So that's when you take everything that you have learned, all the data, all the stats, all the facts that you have accumulated over time, and you start to put it into motion. That's all that wisdom is. When you look at it from a scientific perspective, knowledge is the potential, wisdom is the kinetic. So wisdom is that kinetic energy. That's taking all of that potential and putting it into motion so that you can go out and do and be great. You can do greater things and be great. That's what wisdom is, man. So we always want to strive for that wisdom. You don't want to just settle on that knowledge. You want to put everything that you've learned into motion. That is when you start to experience evolution and growth. So that's crucial. That's crucial. So apply that math to your life, man. Apply that wisdom to your life. When you come across something and it's beneficial to you, implement it, man. Don't just store it. Implement it, put it into motion. If it's not useful, as the saying goes, discard it. But if it's something that can help you out, implement it ASAP, man. Don't waste time on it, man. Don't store it. Because we tend to forget about it when we do store it. So when you come across something that can help you out, man, put it into motion ASAP. Don't waste time on that. So that's the simple math for the day, man. It's wisdom, man. Putting that knowledge, putting everything that you accumulate into motion. So with that being said, man, I ain't got the math out of the way. I want to bring up the book that inspired the video for the day. Y'all know I'm always bringing up books, man. Recommended books. This is the book for the day. Book of the day. Blue Zone Solutions. Eating and living like the world's healthiest people. Get a good look at that book, The Blue Zone Solution. Very, very powerful book. And like I just mentioned, if we are striving to reach an optimal state of health, And we got populations out here that we can study that are living proof of the type of lifestyle that we are aspiring to or aspiring towards. Why not study those populations? That eliminates a lot of the guesswork. We don't have to implement, or we don't have to utilize guesswork when we got prime examples of the type of lifestyle that we want to live and lead out here already. So all we got to do is study those populations and implement what those populations are doing. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. The blueprint has already been laid out by several populations. And all we got to do is accumulate the facts from those populations and implement them. It's just really that simple. And it's a common denominator that you can probably already guess. It's a common denominator amongst these healthy populations that you can already pretty much guess. All of them really are plant-based. Now, every one of these populations, they have a different staple food, but for the most part, all of these populations eat plant-based, where vegetables are the predominant food source in regards to the diet. So all of these populations have that in common, that they are plant-based. That's the common denominator. Now, in regards to the foods, the main foods, that changes. But the main premise is that they are plant-based. And that's what I want us to focus on. The main premise of these healthy populations is that they are all plant-based. But like I said, when I start breaking down some of the foods, like the main foods that they consume, you will see that the foods differ sometimes. You know, some people eat the regular white potatoes. Some cultures eat the sweet potatoes, little things like that. This culture may favor this bean over that bean. So little stuff like that. But for the most part, they are all plant-based. They sparingly consume meat. And most of them admit like they don't need to eat meat. They may only use it for like flavoring certain dishes. So that's something I want you all to take away from what I'm talking about today, man. Just the fact that they are all predominantly plant-based. Nippin' and Goldie, most definitely, man. Most definitely. Beast Reincarnated, yeah, I got a few books about the alkaline diet. Got a few books on it. And I end up bringing some of those books into the equation, like in later videos. But I got a few books on the alkaline diet. Yeah, I got a few joints on that, man. Like I said, I'm gonna probably bring them out of the woodworks, bring them out the library in some of my later videos, but I got a few of them. But I want to dive into Blue Zone Solution, which is the name of this video. The Blue Zone Solution is basically the author of this book. It was a guy that studied like a research project. He studied like the 5 healthiest populations. I believe it was 5. The 5 healthiest populations across the globe. And he was basically trying to see what lifestyle factors attributed to their long lifespans, like their longevity. So he basically sought out to do the research in regards to the healthiest populations to try to see what common denominators he would come across in regards to what contributes to their longevity. So that's basically what the blue zones are. The blue zones are the healthiest populations around the globe. They are labeled blue zones. And there's 5 populations that he studied. So the first population that I want to get into, first culture that we're going to get into is Icaria, Greece. And this is more so like a Mediterranean type of diet, type of lifestyle. And I'm going to just go straight down on like my note cards and my notes. And I'm going to just express some of the things that I felt were important in regards to each culture. So one thing that I noticed, like the first thing that stood out to me in regards to the culture of Icaria, Greece, is olive oil. They really fool with olive oil, and then some information that was highlighted in the book, like unheated olive oil lowers bad cholesterol and increases the good cholesterol. So that's one reason. That's one reason why they value olive oils, because of the effect or the impact that olive oil, unheated olive oil, has on bad cholesterol. So it lowers that bad cholesterol and it increases that good cholesterol. So it's been a lot of misinformation out here in regards to like olive oil. You got a lot of people that's telling you to stay away from olive oil in its entirety. And you got people that, I mean, they religiously back olive oil. So you got those two point of views always clashing. Based off of my research and my studies, I agree with this. Unheated olive oil is definitely beneficial. The key word here, unheated. So the unheated olive oil lowers the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL cholesterol, and it increases the good cholesterol, which is the HDL cholesterol. So that is crucial. And that's one of the main staples of their lifestyle. And Icaria Greece, it's olive oil unheated. Now, another thing that they did in food with an Icaria Greece is wine in moderation. And basically, their reasoning behind drinking wine in moderation is that helps the body absorb more of the flavonoids from the foods eaten with it. So that's one of the reasons why they drink wine in moderation. It helps absorb some of the nutrients in certain foods that they consume better when they consume the wine with it. So that's one of the reasons why they drink wine in moderation. And a lot of these cultures actually drink wine in moderation. So that was kind of like a common denominator as well. Wine is pretty common. Now, another thing that this culture in Icaria Greece food with was like local sourdough bread. Local sourdough bread. And here's the breakdown as to why they food with the local sourdough bread in Icaria Greece. Local sourdough bread, it contains a health boosting type of bacteria that when eaten with other food may actually reduce the meal's glycemic index. And basically what that is, that's just the impact that the food has on your blood sugar. So if the glycemic index score is high, then that means that it gets into your bloodstream or into your blood a lot quicker, a lot faster, which causes that quick rise or increase or spike in your blood sugar levels, which you do not want. So you want to stay away from foods that have that high glycemic index score. So when it's lower, then it takes longer for that food or for that sugar to get into the bloodstream from that particular food source. So you always want to try to aim lower on that glycemic index. So eating local sourdough bread with certain foods can actually lower the glycemic index for that particular food. Yeah, TZ Frank is typically red wine for the most part. Beast reincarnated, I have no problem with strawberries nor bananas. Not at all. Like, to just keep it simple, not at all. A lot of people be talking a lot of nonsense, but you got to pay attention. You just got to really think about it. When was the last time you saw somebody that had a health issue because they consumed too many strawberries? When was the last time you saw somebody become obese because they ate too many bananas? You know, things like that. The pros definitely outweigh the cons in regards to strawberries and bananas. So another important factor about Icaria Greece is that they like white potatoes. And of course, white potatoes, like this is just a fact for potatoes, white potatoes have a lot of potassium. And it's a lot of debate. That's white potatoes or another one of those foods, kind of like bananas. You got a lot of people that tell you white potatoes are okay, but for the most part, you got a lot of people that are adamantly against the consumption of white potatoes. A lot of people will tell you, oh, that's too much starch, this, that, and the third. But here, one of the healthiest populations on the planet, they consume potatoes, the white potatoes, because of the potassium, which is heart healthy, which is good for the heart, and then the vitamin B6 and fiber. Now, of course, when I say white potatoes, I'm not talking about fried potatoes like French fries and things of that nature, nor am I talking about a loaded potato when you put a bunch of sour cream and you oversaturate it with butter. We're not talking about those forms of potatoes. So keep that in mind. The white potatoes can be cool as long as they are not fried and as long as you are not oversaturating them with butter and sour cream and things along those lines. Now we're going to get into like the herbs that they dealt with in Icaria Greece. Some of these herbs, one herb that they fooled with was wild mint. and they utilize wild mint to prevent gingivitis and ulcers. So again, I'm gonna repeat that: wild mint. So if you know anybody that is suffering from like gingivitis and ulcers, try to find some wild mint. That is what they use in Icaria, Greece to treat or prevent gingivitis and ulcers. Wild mint. Then we get into rosemary. They utilize rosemary in Icaria, Greece to treat gout and to improve blood circulation and artemisia. So those are the three things that they utilize the herb rosemary for: to treat gout, artemisia, and to improve blood circulation. So you want to improve that blood flow, that blood circulation, and you want to treat gout. I know a lot of people personally that have dealt with and are dealing with gout. So rosemary be a good herb for anybody dealing with anybody that you know that's dealing with gout. And if you know anybody with like blood circulation issues, rosemary is a good herb for that. And then they fool with what are termed wild greens. You got like dandelion, and I know it's a dandelion powder that you can get on Amazon. Dandelion powder. I mean. So dandelion, wild fennel. And the reason why they like to fool with a lot of the wild greens, you got vitamins A, C, and K, folate, potassium, magnesium, calcium, fiber, and iron. So again, you can get dandelion powder. I know for a fact it's on Amazon because I've had it. And again, that's a lot of iron, a lot of fiber, a lot of calcium, a lot of magnesium, potassium, folate, all of that good stuff, and wild fennel. And you can find some of this stuff on Amazon, or you can go to your local health food store and you can find some of these wild greens in powdered form. And you're getting pretty much all the nutrients that you need from these wild greens. So you can't beat that. It's real simple. Now we done got away from the herbs, and this is just some of the things that they did in regards to like when they were consuming their meals, like some of the rituals or whatnot that they may practice. One thing that they stated in Icaria, Greece, when he studied this culture, is that when you eat a meal in a hurry or with pent up worry, stress hormones like cortisol interfere with the digestive process. Your body doesn't absorb nutrients and antioxidants as well. Calories you consume are more likely to end up as fat on your waistline. And I talked about this in previous videos. People don't understand the importance of basically your mindset when you are consuming a meal. If you are consuming a meal while under any form of stress, you are altering like the nutritional value of that particular food, and you don't even know it. So you may be thinking that you are eating healthy, but for the simple fact that you are stressed out, you are negatively impacting the value of that food to the point now where the food has little to no value, simply because you are stressed, simply because you are consuming it into a stressful environment. So you got to understand that when you eat that meal in a hurry, when you are rushing, barely chewing your food, or when you consuming that food and you are stressed out, then that food that is supposed to be of high nutritional value becomes of low, or if any nutritional value. It may not possess any nutritional value. If anything, it may actually harm you because you are consuming it in a stressful environment. So it is important, man, to kind of clear your mind. Relax, take your time with the food. Do not eat in a hurry. Do not rush through the food. Do not devour the food. Chew it. Take your time with it. This is crucial so you can properly absorb the nutrients, so you can get the true benefit from the food. So take your time with it, man. It is important. How you consume the food is very important. Stop rushing through your meal. Stop being stressed out while you are consuming the meal. That is a time for peace. What's going on, Sweet Tea? Exactly, Thunder Scorpion, man. And a lot of like the way that they have manufactured society, man, it leads to a lot of unhealthy habits. And that's one of them. Giving you that 30-minute lunch, and now you got to devour that particular food. That's unhealthy. That's very unhealthy. Ebony tree, yep, avocado oil is definitely a healthier substitute. And of course, I obviously don't eat butter at all unless it's like vegan butter. So, yep. But you don't want to oversaturate anything with butter. But a lot of people, like I was saying, a lot of people underestimate. A lot of people underestimate the power of stress. A lot of people that's dealing with obesity, a lot of people that want to just shrink the waistline. People don't understand that stress can be contributing to that waistline. So if you want to shrink the waistline down, man, you got to deal with your stress. You got to eliminate a lot of stresses in your life. If you want to shrink the waist, if you want to lose the weight, that stress can be the reason why you are attaining that weight, why you are gaining that weight. It could all be stress related. For the most part, for most people, that's what the actual fact is. It revolves around stress. That's the reason why you are continuing to consume food, knowing good and well that you shouldn't be consuming it. That's one of the main reasons why you are reaching for those cookies, that candy, those cakes. When you know you need that fruit, when you know you need those vegetables, stress related. A lot of people are emotional eaters. That's stress. So a lot of times it all revolves around stress. So when you consume that meal, you got to keep that in mind. Do not consume that meal while you are stressed out. If you are stressed out, do not eat. Do not eat until you clear that mind. That is very important. And they touched on that in I Carry a Grease. And I'm actually glad that that book pointed that out, because that is really important. And a lot of people underestimate that, or they don't even know about the importance of that. So a lot of people don't think that the mindset while they are consuming the meal can affect the food. You do not want to consume that food while you are stressed out in that stressful state. That's crucial. So now I want to run down pretty much what they termed in the book as longevity foods. And I Carry a Grease, the longevity food list is as follows: olive oil, wild greens, potatoes. Again, not fried or loaded. And again, they talk about the benefits of the potatoes when they are not fried and loaded, and it can reduce blood pressure, prevent inflammation, and fight diabetes. I'm going to repeat that again. The white potatoes, they are not fried or loaded, can reduce blood pressure, prevent inflammation, and fight diabetes. And they also food with the feta cheese, black-eyed peas. And this is a did you know? Did you know that black-eyed peas contain some of the strongest anti-cancer, anti-diabetes, and heart protective substances in nature? I'm going to repeat that again. Did you know that black-eyed peas contain some of the strongest anti-cancer, anti-diabetes, and heart protective substances in nature? So our tradition is we consume black-eyed peas on like New Year's. Well, we need to start eating black-eyed peas year-round. Anti-cancer, anti-diabetes, and heart protective substances, some of the strongest in nature, are contained within a black-eyed peas. So consume black-eyed peas, make that a main staple of your lifestyle. Black-eyed peas, that's crucial. And again, white potatoes, don't be afraid of the white potatoes. Just don't fry them, just don't load them up. But the white potatoes prevent inflammation, reduce blood pressure, fight diabetes. That's important. See, I'm highlighting certain foods because of the benefits. So this is stuff that you can be consuming on a daily, weekly basis. And white potatoes, crucial to black-eyed peas. Then another longevity food for I Carry a Grease, chickpeas. You got chickpeas, then you got lemons, and you got herbal teas, of course, and they food with like organic coffee, and they also food with honey. So those are the longevity foods for I Carry a Grease, one of the healthiest populations, aka a blue zone. What's going on, Demond Harris? So I'm gonna run through that list again: olive oil, wild greens, potatoes, feta cheese, black-eyed peas, chickpeas, lemons, herbal teas like the organic coffee, and honey. Those are the longevity foods in I Carry a Grease. Now we're gonna transition over to Okinawa, Japan. Another one of those blue zones. Now, the funny thing about Okinawa, Japan, their main food, like their favorite food in Okinawa, Japan, when he studied this particular blue zone, the favorite food of choice is the sweet potato. I think the term for sweet potato over there was like emo or something like that. But their favorite food source here was the sweet potato. That was almost like 60% of their diet, the sweet potato. And he went on to talk about like the benefits of the sweet potato, the vitamin C, the fiber, the carotenoids, which gives it that color. It's a slow burning carb, man. Sweet potato is like a superfood. It's one of the best foods that you can consume, a sweet potato. So again, you definitely should be consuming sweet potatoes on a consistent, regular basis. And then in Okinawa, Japan, their diet or their lifestyle was 80% carbs, 80%, and only 3% dairy and meat products. So I'm gonna repeat that again, because a lot of people we have made carbs the enemy on the Western side of the world. One of the healthiest populations. Matter of fact, all these populations at least eat or consume 60% carbs. But in Okinawa, Japan, one of the healthiest populations, one of these blue zones that were studied, 80% carb based. Now, how can we argue with that? On the Western side of things, when you Google weight loss, when you Google all this type of stuff, what are they going to do? What's going to come up? They're going to tell you how carbs are the enemy. They're going to tell you how you need to reduce your carbohydrate intake. They're going to tell you you need to consume high protein, low carb lifestyle, high protein, high fat, low carb. All of these populations, each and every last one of them, at least 60% carbs. And here we are going against that grain, and we wonder why we have the issues and ailments that we have. Make that make sense. If you can go study the healthiest populations across the globe, and all they are consuming are carbs, and then we come here and they tell you to limit the carbs. Please make that make sense. How does that even make sense? How does that resonate as something that makes sense? Soon as you jump outside, soon as you jump outside of this country, outside of the US, you will see people that embrace carbs. It is here when you come here, and I'm sure it's other places, but predominantly here, when you are here on the Western side, the Western sphere, we have made people fear and hate carbs. It's crazy. But here in Okinawa, Japan, their lifestyle is 80% carbs, only 3% dairy and meat. Only 3%. And they food with a lot of turmeric, and then a lot of seaweed. And I'm going to run down the top longevity foods of Okinawa, Japan. These are some of their top longevity foods, some of the main staples of their lifestyle or diet, if you want to use that word. You have bitter melons. They consume tofu, a lot of tofu in Okinawa, Japan. And what they said about tofu is it lowers cholesterol and the triglyceride levels, which is fat, another way to say fat. Then they food with sweet potato, a purple sweet potato. And it talks about how that sweet potato contains an antioxidant and a sporamin, which has anti-aging properties. So the purple sweet potato, it contains an antioxidant that goes by the name of sporamin, sporamin, which contains anti-aging properties. So if you want to reverse the aging process, consume that purple sweet potato because it has the antioxidant sporamin in it. And I spelled it out just so you can look it up, so you can do the knowledge to it and just don't take my word off of face value. Okay, some more top longevity foods in Okinawa, Japan. You got garlic. You got turmeric. And what they said in Okinawa, Japan is that when you add the black pepper, when you add black pepper to the turmeric, it increases the bioavailability of the turmeric 1,000 times. And what is bioavailability? That's basically the portion of the food. That's basically the portion of the food that enters the circulation when introduced into the body that is able to have an immediate or effect or active impact. So you want to increase that bioavailability of the food. So if you add the black pepper to the turmeric, that increases the bioavailability of that turmeric 1,000 times. So remember that when you add turmeric, add that black pepper to the turmeric. And another thing that they consumed in Okinawa, Japan, brown rice. So I know I mentioned that in previous videos as well, man. Brown rice is crucial. They consumed a lot of brown rice. They also consume green tea and the shiitake mushrooms. And they consume seaweeds. Now notice, I did not name not one meat source in the main staple of either one of these cultures yet. Not one meat source. So I'm going to run down the top longevity foods again real quick. For Okinawa, Japan, you got bitter melons, tofu, the sweet potato, the purple sweet potato, garlic, turmeric, brown rice, green tea, the shiitake mushrooms, and seaweeds. Those are the top longevity foods in Okinawa, Japan that contributes to their longevity. Those are some of the main foods that they consume. So that's important. What's going on, Lindell? Peace. What's going on with you? What's going on, Sean? Now, the next blue zone that we want to study here, Sardinia, Italy. And right off the bat, as soon as you crack open the chapter on Sardinia, Italy, they let you know that, especially like in the wintertime, they almost never consume meat. So they let you know that off the rip. Then they break down their consumption of macronutrients in percentages. So 65% of what they consume in Sardinia, Italy, that contributes to their longevity, 65% of their diet revolves around carbs, 65%. Okinawa, Japan was 80%. So again, we notice in the common denominator. All of these diets or lifestyles are carb-centered, carb-based. Meanwhile, they are encouraging us to go protein-based and minimize our consumption of carbs. All these populations, all these blue zones are encouraging you to consume carbs. It's a main staple. So let's focus on that. And then they got 20% of their diet is fat. So that's 85%. That leaves 15% to protein. Now notice what I'm saying here. 15% of their lifestyle is protein. And most of their protein, 75% of their protein comes from plant-based sources. More specifically, beans. So even the 15% of protein that they consume, 75% of that is coming from plant-based sources, not animal protein. So again, when you study in these healthier populations, I've broken down 3 of them so far. There are common denominators, and animal protein and meat and dairy is not a common denominator. Not a common denominator at all. And if I'm gonna take something on face value, I'm gonna take the cultures that are living the longest, the most active, the most healthiest. I'm gonna take what they doing as actual fact. I'm not about to take what the unhealthy population is telling me to do. I'm not about to take that. Not about to take that at all. And again, when we bring up Sardinia, Italy, they bring up potatoes once again. The white potato is the most important vegetable. The most important vegetable in Sardinia, Italy, is a white potato. And I broke down, who was that I was talking about? When I was talking about Icaria, Greece, when they broke down the importance of the potato, the potassium that it contains, heart healthy, vitamin B6, the fiber that's in that white potato. Of course, when it's not fried, when it's not loaded, it contains potassium, the vitamin B6. It reduces the blood pressure. It helps fight diabetes. It can reduce the cholesterol. It can do all of that. So we got another common denominator here, the potato, the white potato. It has appeared twice. So Sardinia, Italy, they consume a lot of white potatoes. That's that most important vegetable, according to this Blue Zone Solution book. And other vegetables that they consume, onion, zucchini, cabbage, the main fruits that they consume, pears and cherries. So now I want to list the top longevity foods for Sardinia, Italy. I'm gonna just run down the list. They food with goat and sheep's milk. And when you study how to eat to live by Elijah Muhammad, he mentioned, I believe, goat milk. But they in Sardinia, Italy, they consume goat and sheep's milk, flatbread, barley. And the thing they said about barley is grounded in the flour or added to soups. It's high in protein, magnesium, and fiber. That's barley. So when the barley is grounded into flour or added to soups, it's high protein, magnesium, and fiber. And a lot of people, especially on this side of the planet, on this side of the globe, are deficient in fiber. So fiber is important. So you can get that barley grounded in the flour, and you got your fiber source, you got your magnesium, and you need that magnesium for that calcium to be absorbed. So if you want strong bones, you got to consume that magnesium. Barley is a good source of that magnesium. You need that. And they also, sourdough bread, it appears once again. You got fennel, fava beans, chickpeas. Chickpeas appear again. Chickpeas, you got tomatoes. And then they break down the tomatoes, the vitamin C and the potassium. But you have to cook the tomato because it's an antioxidant lycopene that's in that. That has a lot of like healing properties. So you must cook the tomato in order to increase the bioavailability of this antioxidant lycopene. So I'm gonna run down those top longevity foods again. Sardinia, Italy. Goat and sheep's milk, flatbread, barley. Then we got sourdough bread, fennel, fava beans, chickpeas, tomato. Those are the top longevity foods. And then they also consumed a lot of almonds. They consumed a lot of almonds. So they like almonds. So those are the top longevity foods in Sardinia, Italy. Now, we about to transition over to a population that exists right here in the United States. And I talked about them in previous videos. You got Loma Linda, California, where the 7-day Adventists reside. And a lot of people don't know about the religious group, the 7-day Adventists. They are some people that actually take the Bible, that take the laws in the Bible, laws in the Old Testament, to heart. And they actually try to consume or live a lifestyle that's similar to when I brought up Genesis 1:29. When I brought up Genesis 1:29, which I'm gonna bring that out again. I'm gonna bring Genesis 1:29 up again. Because the 7-day Adventists, this is their verse in regards to their dietary law. They follow this law dietarily for the most part. So let me pull up the verse again. Genesis 1:29. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it, they will be yours for food. Simple. This is how it's letting you know right there. It's letting you know right there in the Bible that you should primarily be a vegetarian. Some people interpret that as being a fruitarian. But the Bible is letting you know in the Old Testament. Now, of course, in the New Testament, things change. And that's what a lot of people use as justification to consume the unclean foods that were supposedly deemed clean in the New Testament. The Old Testament is letting you know right now that you should be eating a plant-based type of lifestyle. And that's what the 7-day Adventists do, which is why they are one of these blue zones and one of the healthiest populations across the globe, because they took that Bible verse to heart. And that is the dietary law for this particular group. Yep, on the fire. Yeah, that's definitely where you can find the goat milk. Now, back to Loma Linda, California, and the 7-day Adventists. So it was a lot of studies that were brought up in this particular section for this particular blue zone. So they did a lot of studying. They studied non-vegetarians. And they basically studied their arteries. And one thing that they found out was that the non-vegetarians had heavy calcium plaques in their arteries. I'm going to repeat that again. They studied the non-vegetarians and they had heavy calcium plaques in their arteries. A lot of clogging going on for the non-vegetarians, aka the meat eaters. And then they also did a study on all the food groups, from like the pescatarians to the vegans to the vegetarians to the meat eaters. They did a study on there. I forgot the time span, but they studied the longevity of all of these particular groups. And the two groups that ended up living the longest, the two groups that had the highest longevity rate, that lived the longest, were the vegans and the pescatarians. So based on this study, the two groups that lived the longest, that were the healthiest, were the vegans and the pescatarians. Notice, not the vegetarians. The vegetarians and the meat eaters, bottom two. The vegans and the pescatarians were the healthiest. lived the longest, had the longer lifespans, according to the particular study that was done in this book. And I've seen this study, not this study, but I've seen similar studies in other books that I have, like on veganism and nutrition. It's letting you know that being a pescatarian or being a vegan will increase that lifespan when you do it correctly. For the most part, when we go vegetarian, we tend to do that incorrectly. Consume a lot of dairy products, a lot of cheese. But the vegans and the pescatarians live the longest. And I can try to pull up, I can turn to it in this book real quick, man. I could probably try to pull up the exact number. Like how long they studied them for, man. It ain't nothing for me to go find my highlights in this particular book. Because I think that's important, man. If you're looking for two lifestyles, if you're looking for a lifestyle to choose, I would say either go vegan or go pescatarian if you do it correctly. Okay, yeah, here we go. I'm gonna read a portion in this book. All right, so to figure out how diet impacted how long people live, Fraser and his colleagues broke the study subjects into 4 general categories: vegans, octo-lacto vegetarians, which are vegetarians who consume eggs and dairy, pesco-vegetarians, vegetarians who eat up to 1 serving of fish daily, and non-vegetarians. They gleaned several insights. Meat eaters, for one thing, tended to consume more soda pop, desserts, and refined grains than vegetarians. They also tended to be fatter. If you were to take 2 men of equal height, one a meat eater and the other a vegan, the meat eater was likely to weigh an extra 20 pounds. The meat eater was also likely to die sooner. Vegans and pescatarians live longest, the study found. So that's crucial. That's straight out of this book, straight out of the studies, man. We can't, people want to debate. People want to debate. Like, I don't do all that. I bring up the facts from the book. So if you want to debate, buy the book. Like, buy the book. Beast reincarnated. A pescatarian is basically like a vegetarian or a vegan that consumes fish. So the meat eaters, according to this particular study, man, had an extra 20 pounds on the vegans, and they were likely to die sooner. I mean, these are just the facts, man. This ain't stuff that I'm just making up and I'm just spitting out to y'all, man. These are facts. These are studies that have been done. So this is not stuff that I can make up. Can't argue with the facts, man. You can't argue with the numbers, man. It is what it is. And you got to understand, for the most part, because veganism is fairly new. So for the most part, when this book is studying vegans, it's not studying lifelong vegans. This book is more than likely studying people who became vegan later on in life. You will be hard pressed to find somebody who has been vegan since birth. You will be hard pressed to find that. You will be hard pressed to find someone who has been vegan since birth. Like veganism is still almost in its infancy for the most part, man. It's very rare where you find someone that's been vegan since birth. Like, that's starting to happen now. But like when this book was written, I guarantee you the vegans that they studied, those people had probably transitioned to veganism when they became an adult. So like that's something to take into consideration as well. Like, people come out the womb hooked on the meat. People come out the womb hooked on the dairy products, but not too many people coming out of the womb hooked on veganism, hooked on fruits and vegetables and things like that. So that is something that's important. Got to take that into consideration. So just imagine when you get these lifelong vegans and you start passing that down, the numbers are only going to be that much better. If vegans are outliving people when you being a vegan for about 20 years, just imagine when you be vegan for 40 years, 50 years. Just imagine the numbers, man. Just imagine how those numbers are going to change. So that's important. That is very important. So I'm going to run down the top longevity foods of the 7-day Adventist. You got avocados. And the thing that people don't know about avocados is when you typically bring up potassium, a lot of people bring up bananas. Avocados are actually the best source of potassium. Has 30% more potassium than a banana. So when you need that potassium, which again is something that's heart healthy, you can get that avocado. The white potato has a lot of potassium, but the banana actually doesn't have as much potassium as we think. It's actually low on the scale in regards to other foods. So a lot of people, we've been tricked into believing that a banana is the best source of potassium when it's actually like an avocado. So the top longevity foods for the 7-day Adventists: avocados. The pescatarians, they food with salmon. Then you got nuts like almonds. Almonds are like the main staple. And again, the info on nuts lowers the cholesterol, lowers the blood pressure, helps fight chronic inflammation and diabetes. So again, the reason why they consume the nuts, it lowers the cholesterol, lowers the blood pressure, fights chronic inflammation, and helps prevent diabetes. Then along with that, you got beans, like black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans. They drink a lot of water. I think it's like 6 glasses a day. They eat oatmeal, whole wheat bread, and in this particular culture, they food with soy milk. They food with soy milk. So it's a lot of information out there about soy, but this is one of the, I was just highlighting all the top longevity foods, and this is one of the things that they consume on a regular basis, the soy milk. So again, the top longevity foods of the 7-day Adventists. Got avocados, and for those that are pescatarian in this culture, salmon. You got nuts, specifically almonds. Then you got beans. They drink a lot of water, oatmeal, whole wheat bread, and soy milk. Those are the top longevity foods for the 7-day Adventists. And another common denominator that we notice in a lot too are beans. A lot of these cultures food with beans. So you should be consuming some sort of a bean every day. Now we about to transition over to the 5th blue zone. It's Nicoya Peninsula, Costa Rica. It's the 5th blue zone. And I'm going to just run down some of the top longevity foods for this particular blue zone. They food with corn, squash, papayas. And what they broke down in regards to papaya is that it contains the vitamins A, C, and E. And then it's an antioxidant called papain that helps fight inflammation. And they consume yams, which contain vitamin B6, black beans. And here in Costa Rica, they consume bananas, and then something called peach palms. So those are like the top longevity foods in this particular Nicoya Peninsula, Costa Rica. And they also consume another thing, like a controversial thing that they consume is white rice. So a lot of people tell you to stay away from the white rice and consume the brown rice. But here's why they consume white rice. Because they have figured out that when you mix or eat the white rice with beans, specifically, they consume it with a lot of black beans. So when eating with beans, white rice does not cause sugar levels to rise as quickly as it does when eaten alone. So that's a trick for you all. If you want to consume the white rice, you got to mix it with beans, black beans, kidney beans, red beans, whatever, a form of bean. So that will not cause the sugar levels to rise as quickly as it does when it's eaten alone. So don't want to eat the white rice by itself. If you have to eat the white rice or you want to eat the white rice, you got to consume it with a bean. Got to consume the white rice with a bean. That is the trick. So those are the 5 blue zones that they study. Some of the healthiest populations across the globe. Only one of those populations exists here. But those are some of the healthiest populations across the globe, and they studied their methods. Study some of the things that they do. And another thing that didn't revolve around nutrition is that a lot of them, of course, obviously were very active. They asked, I think it was Icaria, Greece, and they asked one of them what was the secret. Like, I think it was a lady that was near, like she was close to being 100. Maybe she was 100. They asked her what one of the secrets were in regards to their longevity. And one thing that she said was that we just forgot how to die. I mean, listen to that. She said they just forgot how to die. That's a mindset that contributed. That's one of the secrets that contributes to their longevity, forgetting how to die. Like they just so focused on living that they forgetting how to die. Just think about that, man. Just think about that. How many people will say that in this particular country? I just forgot how to die. I'm so focused on living. I need for you all to adopt that mindset, that mentality, man. Forget how to die. Forget about death. Focus on living, focus on life. Like that's a major key. That's part of it, man. They letting you know the mentality. They let you know the importance of your mindset in regards to reaching that optimal state of health, in regards to reaching that longevity, that 100-year mark, and not only hitting that 100-year mark, but being able to be out here, be as active as you were at 40, at 50. You at 100, and you out there doing things that 20 and 30-year-olds can't do. So that's important. That's important. So I'm with the lady. I'm with the elder on that. I'm gonna forget how to die. Like that's how I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna forget how to die. When I hit 100 and they ask me what's the secret, that's gonna be my response. I just forgot how to die. I don't know how to die. So that's my outlook on life. So I kind of fool with that philosophy, man. I kind of fool with that viewpoint, man. That's crucial. So now, what he did at the end of this book, the Blue Zone Solution book, one thing that he did at the end of this book is that he kind of broke down, like, I don't know if it was like 10 principles that you can implement in regards to like dietary laws. Just some laws and principles that you can implement and follow that will help you reach that optimal state of health. Just some daily things that you can do, like some principles to live by. And one of the things that were stated, and I'm gonna crack open this book once again so I can go over some of the things that I highlighted, because I don't want to miss a point, man. You know how I get. I don't want to miss any points. I want to touch on all the facts. So I'm gonna go back, go to my highlights real quick, because y'all know how I get down. So one of the important things that he recommended in this book, and this is something that I have gathered from other sources as well, you never want to eat until you are 100% full. They say you should stop at 80%. And you may be wondering, like, man, how do I know when I'm at 80%? Well, I know something for a fact. You know when you are at 100%. And for the most part, in America, we tend to, we at 100%, we not stopping. We tend to eat till we about 120% full. So it's like when we reach that 100%, we still stuffing ourselves. That's what we tend to do. So when we reach 100, we don't stop. We keep going. This is telling you stop at 80%. Eat until you are satisfied, like not full. Stop eating until you are full. Like stop that right now today. Eat until you are satisfied. And you know, and you're going to know what that satisfaction is. Just pay attention. Pay attention to the body. You're going to find out quickly when that satisfaction hits. That is when you should stop. That is when you should stop. Most definitely bona fide, staying active, most definitely helped her. Most definitely. Bona fide, so if that's the case, if you grew up not to waste food, which we all did, then you just got to lower the portion. Lower the portion. Lower the portions of the food. Lower the portion. Cut the plate in half or something. Just lower the portion. Get you a paper plate, cut it in half, and eat that. Most definitely, Thunder Scorpion. We definitely make room for dessert. Definitely. But the science that I'm going to highlight in regards to eating until you're 80% full and not 100, and here go the science. I'm going to read it straight out the book. Since it takes about 20 minutes for the feeling of fullness to travel from your stomach to your brain, this mnemonic device increases the likelihood that you will sense the growing fullness and stop eating before you are 100% full. And it was a dietary expert in this book that estimated that if the average American will follow the practice of stopping at 80%, he or she could lose 17 pounds in just the first year of doing that. Just implementing this simple practice right here of stopping at 80%, you will lose 17 pounds in a year just off of doing that, according to the dietary expert in this book. But I'm going to read the science once again. Since it takes about 20 minutes for the feeling of fullness to travel from your stomach to your brain, this mnemonic device increases the likelihood that you will sense the growing fullness and stop eating before you are 100% full. So that is the science behind why stopping at 80% is crucial. So I wanted to read that directly out of the book. Yeah, the smaller plates. Yeah, that's what I was hitting at, man. Take a paper plate, cut it in half, eat half of that. Smaller plates. I mean, you can buy smaller plates, but if you right now, if you just got the large paper plates, chop them in half, fill that up, and you good to roll. And this book also talked about the time it typically takes for our digestive system to like digest and absorb a meal. That's 6 to 12 hours. And the heavier the food, the longer it takes. That's why consuming meat is real crucial. That's why you shouldn't consume it every day, because it takes a long time. It's going to be on that 12-hour mark for the body to absorb and digest that animal protein. So just imagine, let's say on the high end, it takes the body 12 hours to digest that chicken you just ate. And you ate this chicken for like lunch. It's taking your body 12 hours to digest that. And that's if that process is not interrupted or impeded. It's taking 12 hours from a healthy system. So just imagine if before that 12 hours is up, you consume some more meat. Now you are hindering the process, your digestive process. So before it's even able to digest that chicken that you had at lunch, you have now inserted some more meat that it has to deal with and absorb, which is going to take another 12 hours. But it hasn't even broken down the chicken you had at lunch. So just imagine if you are consuming meat on top of meat on top of meat on a daily basis, and you are not giving your digestive system the time that it needs to break down the meat. That's why you should be consuming meat, according to this book, it's like no more than 2 times a week. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but you shouldn't be consuming meat no more than 2 times a week if you must consume it. It just takes too long. Like, it's wreaking havoc on your digestive system. Point blank, period, man. It's hard for your body to like properly digest and absorb that meat. And that's in a healthy system. All the foods, all the bad foods that we consume on top of just the meat, our body is not able to properly and thoroughly break down that meat. So that's why like we rotting on the inside, because that's all that meat is doing. So that's crucial, man. If you got to consume meat, man, like 2 times a week, no more than that. No more than that. So I'm gonna run down some of the food guidelines, what they call the blue zone's food guidelines. It's crucial. Number 1, the first food guideline. I'm pretty sure you all know where this is headed. Number 1 is called the plant slant. See that 90 to 95% of your food comes from a plant or a plant product. I'm gonna read that again. The number 1 food guideline for the blue zones is called the plant slant. See that 90 to 95% of your food comes from a plant or a plant product. 90%, 90 to 95. And then it goes on to say that the best of the best longevity foods are leafy greens, such as spinach, kale, turnip tops, chard, and collard greens. So consume these foods. Me personally, I like a lot of spinach and kale. I can eat that all day. Put them in smoothies, blend them up. I can do that all day. So we want to go for 90 to 95% of what you consume should come from a plant product. Should be a vegetable. For the most part, vegetable or fruit. So that's crucial. Number 2 The second guideline, and I just hit on this. Just hit on this. It says retreat from meat. Consume meat no more than twice a week. Guideline number 2. This is not coming from me. This is coming from somebody who studied the healthiest populations and gathered this particular guideline. So if you want to argue with somebody, we're arguing with the book here. Number 2, retreat from meat. Consume meat no more than twice a week. That is guideline number 2. After it is telling you to consume 90 to 95% plant-based. What's going on, O'Shane? And I want to piggyback because I skipped over some when it talked about the plant-based portion going 90 to 95%. Talked about olive oil again. So right here, the book states the evidence shows that olive oil consumption increases good cholesterol and lowers bad cholesterol. We going back to when I studied the population in Icaria, Greece. They found that for the middle-aged people, about 6 tablespoons of olive oil daily seem to cut the risk of dying in half, combined with seasonal fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and beans. So I'm going to read that again. Evidence shows that olive oil consumption, again, unheated, olive oil consumption increases good cholesterol and lowers bad cholesterol. In Icaria, Greece, we found that for middle-aged people, about 6 tablespoons of olive oil daily seem to cut the risk of dying in half, combined with seasonal fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and beans. No meat, no dairy products. Okay, guideline number 2, retreat from meat, consume meat no more than twice a week. That's important. What's going on, Donna C? What's going on, Justin? And then number 3, guideline number 3 revolves around fish. Said take or leave fish if you wish. Eat up to 3 ounces of it daily. And these are for the people that want to go pescatarian, like I said. Like I said earlier, the vegans and the pescatarians live the longest, according to the study that was done in this book, or the study that was quoted or referenced in this book. The vegans and the pescatarians live the longest. So if you want to choose, you have 2 options in my book. Go vegan, go pescatarian. So those are crucial. And then it breaks down in this book in regards to the consumption of fish. Because we know that for the most part, a lot of fish, when you talk about fish, you're talking about mercury. That's a concern. So here it says relatively inexpensive fish, such as sardines, anchovies, and cod, middle of the food chain species that are not exposed to the high levels of mercury or other chemicals like PCBs that pollute our gourmet fish supply today. People in the blue zones don't overfish the waters as corporate fisheries do, threatening to deplete entire species. Blue zones fishermen cannot afford to wreak havoc on the ecosystems they depend on. There is no blue zone evidence favoring any particular fish, though, including salmon. So a lot of people just think about salmon. Like when you tell, when somebody say they're going pescatarian, a lot of people are like, oh, I consume salmon, but salmon may not even be the best type of fish that you can consume. Like according to this, you got sardines, anchovies, and cod. They have the lowest levels of mercury. So that's crucial. So if you need to consume fish, here you go. That's number 3 on the guideline. Number 4, fourth guideline says diminish dairy. Minimize your consumption of cow's milk and dairy products such as cheese, cream, and butter. Read that again. Number 4, diminish dairy. Minimize your consumption of cow and dairy products such as cheese, cream, and butter. You all knew something about dairy was coming. And DeAndre, nope, you cannot be vegan and pescatarian. You got to be either or. Like if you vegan and you consume fish, then now you pescatarian. So you can only be either or. But if you need to choose between 2 lifestyles, according to my studies, those are the 2 to choose from. So when a lot of people, when we go back to the 4th guideline, when we talk a lot about dairy products, what tends to come up when somebody says cow's milk? We already know they tend to bring up calcium. Well, I'm gonna read a highlight. An important fact that they mentioned in the book. People talk about calcium. It's easy to shut that up. So if anybody talks to you about calcium when you bring up dairy milk and things of that nature, here we go. Or cow's milk, here's something important that you can hit them with. 1 cup of cooked kale, or 2/3 of a cup of tofu, for instance, provides just as much bioavailable calcium as a cup of milk. 1 cup of cooked kale, or 2/3 of a cup of tofu, provides just as much bioavailable calcium as a cup of milk. So, I mean, it's just that simple. 1 cooked cup of kale, 1 cooked cup of kale gives you the same amount of calcium as a cup of milk. Okay, look like we freezing. Wow. Really gonna freeze like this. Wow, like I'm frozen. I'm frozen on my end. It's getting better now, but I'm completely frozen. I had stopped for a minute. Wow. Y'all see me? All right, yeah, I think we getting it together now. Wow. Wow, that just got crazy. Yeah, I was frozen completely on my end, like I couldn't even see nothing, and my screen still moving kind of funny. Wow. Okay. Okay, here we go. They starting this on me. Let me go ahead and exit out some of the stuff here, man. Here they go. They starting this crazy nonsense on me. There's no reason for my computer to have just did what it just did. Like at all. We must be dropping too much information, man. We know how that go. Wow. All right, I think I'm good now. I still look a little delayed on my end, man, but it is what it is. I think y'all can hear me now. I think we good. Matter of fact, I think some of y'all were always good, but I wasn't good on my end. Like I had completely frozen. That's crazy. Let me see if I gotta close this. That's crazy. Most definitely some type of agents, man. They done been doing this to me for a long time, man. They've been all on my Facebook. Reason why I hadn't had 3 Facebook pages, and now here they go here. Dropping the information, and they just threw me off. They messed up my whole flow, man. I was vibing and flowing, and then that just happened out of nowhere. And I literally don't have nothing up, man. And I'm pretty good. I'm pretty tech savvy, man. So it really wasn't no reason for my computer to have just did that. Man, they just messed up a flow, man. We got some agents in the building, man. It's crazy. I guess we got agents from like the dairy and the meat industry. They didn't like what I was talking about. So they said, all right, we got to freeze this page real quick or something. We got to mess him up. We got to mess him up. So that's just how you know when the truth is being spoken. Stuff like this always happens. Always happens. So now I'm completely thrown off, man. But I know for a fact where I was at, though. I was on number 4 talking about diminishing dairy. And I talked about the calcium in a cup of cooked kale. Got to be cooked. So cooked kale, 1 cup of that, same amount of calcium that's in a cup of milk. Then you got 2/3 of a cup of tofu. So we gonna get rolling before they do something again to me. Then the fifth guideline. A lot of people had a debate about eggs. The 5th guideline revolves around eggs. It says occasional egg. If you must eat eggs, limit to 3 per week. So that's crucial. The 5th guideline, occasional egg. If you must eat eggs, limit to 3 per week. Again, the eggs can affect cholesterol, so that's why it's best to limit the egg. I don't consume eggs, but if you must, limit to 3 per week according to these guidelines. Guideline number 6, daily dose of beans. Eat at least a 1/2 cup of cooked beans daily. So that's crucial. That's number 6. That's guideline number 6, and I touched on that earlier. A daily dose of beans, eat at least a 1/2 cup of cooked beans daily. And something that I highlighted in the book was that the World Health Organization, they found that eating 20 grams of beans daily reduced a person's risk of dying in any given year by 8%, by about 8%. So you want to get your daily dose of beans in. 20 grams of beans daily. It's not hard to get that in. Then also, I think this was Beach Reincarnated. I think you may have asked me about canned beans. Well, they got some information about that in this particular book. It say canned beans. Be sure to read the label. The only ingredients should be beans, water, spices, and perhaps a small amount of salt. Avoid the brands with added fat or sugar. This is for canned beans. So for canned beans, be sure to read the label. The only ingredients should be beans, water, spices, and perhaps a small amount of salt. Avoid the brands with added fat or sugar. Guideline number 7, slash sugar. Consume no more than 7 added teaspoons a day. So again, slash sugar. Consume no more than 7 added teaspoons a day. And then the highlight that I have in this book in regards to sugar is too much sugar in our diet has been shown to suppress the immune system, making it harder to fend off diseases. So especially during this particular pandemic, you want to limit your sugar intake. It's too much sugar destroys the immune system. And Sean Steed, I got a highlight right here in this book that may or may not answer that, but then I answered after I read it. Consider fruit your sweet treat. Eat fresh fruit rather than dry fruit. Fresh fruit has more water and makes you feel fuller with fewer calories. In dry fruit, such as raisins and dates, the sugars are concentrated way beyond what you would get in the typical portion of the fruit when fresh. So to answer that question, is too much fruit harmful? Too much of anything. Too much of anything will kill you. Too much of anything is harmful. But if you ever feel the urge to eat something sweet, make it be a fruit. And you know how I get down. I recommend consuming fruits in the morning and then cutting off the consumption around noon. So consume fruits in the morning all the way up until noon and cut that consumption off. That'll be the way to not overdo the consumption of fruit. So eat fruit in the morning all the way up until noon, then cut it off. Yes, O'Shane, too much sugar, which is why dudes that are diabetic will be in like impotent or type 2 diabetes. And beast reincarnated, no. You want to keep it as fresh as possible when it comes to the fruit. Frozen fruits are decent. Like if you know what I'm saying, if you got to do something, I recommend a fresh fruit and then a frozen fruit. TZ Frank, that's cool because that's better than something else you could have been eating. So that's cool. Honeydew melons are cool. Yeah, Bonafide, most definitely. Yeah, that's most definitely my energy boost. Yeah, Donna, see that sweet them sweets definitely do that. Definitely. And it's just an addiction. It's an addiction. But again, fruits are better than anything else that you possibly could be eating as a snack. So if you ever get the urge to snack, I recommend like fruits or like nuts and seeds. And speaking of nuts and seeds, guideline number 8, it says snack on nuts, eat 2 handfuls of nuts per day. Snack on nuts, number 8. Snack on nuts, eat 2 handfuls of nuts per day. And they talk a lot about like almonds, but you know, you got cashews, you got pecans, you got pistachios and things of that nature. And when talking about nuts, man, they talked a lot about like cholesterol and how nuts help lower that bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, and it helps increase like the HDL, the good cholesterol. Can help fight diabetes, can help reduce the blood pressure. And then other ingredients in nuts they talk about like copper, fiber, folate, vitamin E, and arginine, which is an amino acid. And then you got the Brazil nuts, which have selenium in it, which is protective against like prostate cancer. And you only really, they said you can eat like 4 of those Brazil nuts a day. 4 of them a day, like not 4 of them a day, 4 of them a month. And that can help protect you against that prostate cancer because you don't want to overdo it on those Brazil nuts. Alonzo, I like sea moss, man. That's superfood, basically. Ishmael, most definitely. There you go, Bonafide. Definitely get to that tea. Yep. Definitely get away from that coffee and get to that tea. Most definitely. And then another thing about nuts that they mentioned, eat some nuts before a meal to reduce the overall glycemic load. And I talked about the glycemic index earlier, which is how fast that food, that sugar gets into the bloodstream from that particular food. So the higher, the more we want to stay away from it, the lower, the better. So if you eat some nuts before the meal, it reduces the glycemic load of that particular meal. So that's crucial. Number 9, the guideline for number 9 revolves around bread. It says sour on bread. Replace common bread with sourdough or 100% whole wheat bread. Then some highlights I got for that. And it says try sprouted grain bread. When grains are sprouted, experts say starches and proteins become easier to digest. Sprouted breads also offer more essential amino acids, minerals, and B vitamins than standard whole grain varieties and higher amounts of usable iron. So I'm going to read that one more time. When grains are sprouted, experts say starches and proteins become easier to digest. Sprouted breads also offer more essential amino acids, minerals, and B vitamins than standard whole grain varieties and higher amounts of usable iron. And then a rule of thumb, they say if you can squeeze a slice of bread into a ball, it's the kind you should avoid. So that's a rule of thumb here that they highlighted in this Blue Zone book. If you can squeeze a slice of bread into a ball, it's the kind you should avoid. So that's something to take away for the bread. And then guideline number 10 is actually kind of funny. It say go wholly whole. Eat foods that your grandmother would recognize. And that's basically talking about like the ingredients on the back of the food. They say if you can't pronounce it, then stay away from it. Avoid food products made with more than 5 ingredients. Avoid pre-made or ready-to-eat meals. So little stuff like that. And then this book says, the last point in that particular section, it says, try to eat at least 3 super blue foods daily. What are the super blue foods? Super blue foods are beans, all kinds. Black beans, pinto beans, garbanzo beans, which are chickpeas, black-eyed peas, lentils. Number 2, the second super blue food, greens, spinach, kale, chards, beet tops, and fennel tops. Then 3, sweet potatoes. And it says don't confuse with yams. So number 3, sweet potatoes. 4, nuts, all kinds. Almonds, peanuts, walnuts, sunflower seeds, raisin nuts, cashews. Number 5, olive oil. Green extra virgin is usually the best. Note that olive oil decomposes quickly, so buy no more than a month's supply at a time. Number 6, oats. Slow cook or Irish steel cut are the best. Number 7, barley, either in soups as a hot cereal or ground in bread. Number 8, fruits, all kinds. 9, green or herbal teas. 10, turmeric as a spice or a tea. So those are the super blue foods. And it says try to eat at least 3 super blue foods daily. 3 of them. 3 out of that list of 10 that I just named. Got a lot of options. Just got to consume 3 on a daily basis. And I feel like we all can do that. Beans, greens, sweet potatoes, nuts, olive oil, oats, barley, fruits, green and herbal teas, turmeric. So that's crucial. That's very crucial. Yeah, red beans are lovely. I love red beans. And O'Shane is the Blue Zone solution. I'm gonna put the book up on the screen again. Blue Zone solution, eating and living like the world's healthiest people. There it is. That's the book. Pretty good book. Solid read, man. It probably take you like a day to consume. Hey, Bonify, actually eating them raw like that is actually the best way to consume. She might be on to something. Dizzy damn, see, that's when you start buying it. That's when you have to food with like the can, even the dried beans, man. They not even that expensive. But you can make a pot. You can make a pot of beans to last for a minute on a budget. You got to eat a lot of beans and rice when you're on that budget. Like brown rice and beans, man. You can get you a lot of beans and brown rice to last you a minute on that budget. I mean, you get a couple bags like some beans and some lentils, man, with just like some brown rice or something, man. You good to roll. And then you incorporate some fasting into the mix, man. You good to roll on that budget. No problem, DeAndrea. Yeah, like I said, I'm always referencing books and things of that nature. This was a good book, though. Solid book. Solid book, because the thing I like about this book is it wasn't written from a biased perspective. All this person did was study the healthiest populations across the globe. So when you write a book like that, it's hard to be biased because you got to let the facts speak. You got to let the data speak. That's why I like this book. This is not a book about veganism. This is not a book about vegetarianism. This is not a book about eating meat. This is a book studying the healthiest populations. And it's giving you the conclusions that were reached by studying these healthy populations. That's why I like a book like this, because it's not one-sided. It's like we're going to study these populations and we're going to tell you what we gathered from studying these populations. So that's why this book is crucial for me. It's crucial. Oh, no problem, O'Shane. No problem, Dizzy. You got it. Yeah, it's turmeric and ginger tea, most definitely. Yeah, I'm all about the facts. What people don't understand, I actually read a lot of health books that don't coincide with veganism. Like that's the best way to actually like sharpen the mind. Like I read a lot of books that disagree with the lifestyle that I'm living. I don't just read a lot of like books on veganism, or I would read books like this. This is more objective. Like I'm not going to read a lot of books on veganism because obviously it's just going to agree with what I already fool with and what I already know. So I'm not going to read a lot of vegan books because I already know that. I need to read books that counter veganism. Or I need to read books that say we study in populations and this is what we came up with. So you won't see me actually reference a lot of vegan books. I mean, like I don't do that. I read a lot of books that counter veganism, and then I read a lot of books that have studies in them. And of course, I read like, holistic health books, like healing books and stuff like that. Like I got books on like Chinese medicine and stuff like that. So I got a lot of books like that, which I'm going to be doing. I'm going to do some videos on that, man. One book that I want to break down, and not even a book I want to break down, but one thing I want to start breaking down. I got this book crucial. Foods that harm, foods that heal. What to eat to beat disease and live longer. I want to do like a series on like foods that heal, healing foods. I got a lot of books like this, but I had this book close to me. So I want to do like a series on foods that heal, and then like what foods are harmful for what conditions. So it depends on kind of like what the condition is that you have in regards to what you need to consume. So it's crazy, man. Let me see. I'm gonna try to bust open this book. Like somebody name a food, man. Somebody name a food, and then I'll pull this food up in this book, and I'll let you know how it harms and what it heals. So somebody just name a food off the top of the dome. And I'm gonna see if I can pull it up out of this book. Like a food source that y'all may want to know about. All right, we got apples right off the rip. That's simple enough because it's right in the A. So I'm finna go right to the apples in this particular book. See, we all need books like this in our library, man, because now we know how to approach certain conditions. So we got apples right here. I'm gonna read straight off of the book, straight out of the book. Apples. How apples harm. Pesticide residues, bacterial infection, allergies. What do apples heal? Alzheimer's disease, colon cancer, high blood pressure, weight gain, blood sugar swings. And I'm gonna read directly out of the book for apples. Staves off Alzheimer's disease. Apples contain quercetin, a powerful antioxidant that protects brain cells from degeneration in rats and might do the same in humans. Be sure to eat the skin because it's especially rich in disease-fighting compounds. Still on apples. Protects against colon cancer. When the natural fiber in apples ferments in the colon, it produces chemicals that help fight the formation of cancer cells, according to recent research from Germany. Other studies have shown that one type of antioxidant found in apples, called procyanidins, triggered a series of cell signals that resulted in cancer cell death. Still on apples. Prevents high blood pressure. Adults who eat apples are 37% less likely to have hypertension. And then helps keep you slim. They're packed with fiber and water, so your stomach will want less. Plus, studies out of Washington State and Brazil have shown that people who eat at least 3 apples or pears a day lose weight. Evens out blood sugar. Helps fend off heart disease. Fights high cholesterol. Boosts dental hygiene. All the benefits of an apple. So this is what this simple book is letting you know all of that. And that's just for the apple. That's just for the apple. So like I said, man, I'm gonna do like a whole series on on this particular type of stuff, man, like a healing series, man. And I may just go from like A to Z, and I may just start with the A food group, and I may work my way down from A to Z and just let you know how the foods heal or harm and how they heal and what they heal. So I think that'd be something crucial to do. Thunder Scorpion, this book, Foods That Harm, Foods That Heal. What to eat to beat disease and live longer. And that's just one book I got. Like I said, I got several books that give a breakdown from A to Z. This is just the one that was closest to me. And I'm going to break down all the other foods that y'all mentioned as well. So I'm glad y'all mentioned them. I'm going to break down all these foods because all those foods are in here. And this book has all conditions as well. So books like this are crucial to have, man. Critical to have in your library. Because if you know anybody that's suffering from anything, this book will let you know what to let them know to eat. So that's crucial. Like somebody mentioned a grapefruit, like how grapefruits harm, allergies, canker sores, drug interaction. What they heal, high cholesterol, cancer, weight gain, inflammation. Somebody mentioned granola. Granola is in this book. How granola harms, weight gain is high in calories, sugar, and fat. What it heals, high cholesterol, heart disease, free radical damage. And this is another objective book, man. So it's not like a book that's co-signing veganism, man. It lets you know the good and bad about everything. So that's why I pretty much like this book. That's why I like this particular book right here, man. It's not one-sided. It keeps it real for the most part. It lets you know how some fruits and vegetables can be harmful. It don't just let you know that all of them are beneficial. It lets you know the harmful impact that some of the fruits and vegetables can have on certain conditions. So I like that. Yeah, down to see eat them apples. 3 apples a day. Beast reincarnated. Let me see if I can pull up apple cider vinegar in this book. I don't know if that's in here. Yeah, bash those apples, y'all. Bash those apples. Most definitely Thunder Scorpion, man. Sad to hear that about the pops, man. But I know a lot of people that went down from cancer, man, and it's crazy. We got to really take care of that situation, man. We got to stay on top of that. But man, it's about that time for me, y'all. Man, I gotta head on over to this gym. I gotta get some training in, man. I gotta run these clients through the ground. So it's been nice. It's been nice building with y'all once again. This has been a very good live, very good dialogue, very good interaction. Feel like we got a lot of knowledge out today, man. You definitely got to go back, rewind this joint, man. Take notes. Definitely relax and take notes, as the song says, man. You got to take notes, man. Go back. Take notes of the facts that I pointed out within this particular book. And then just off the top of my dome and whatnot, and implement everything that you gather from this particular video, man. Don't just sit on it. Implement it. Just like Donna C said, start eating the apples right now. Don't wait. Start eating the apples right now. Oh, Shane, I'm most definitely working on it, man. I'm actually working on something, man. I'm trying to come up with, like, I don't like the word diet, but like the ultimate lifestyle that someone could live in order to reach that optimal state of health. And that's why I'm studying a lot of these different health books, man, so I can put together that type of program for somebody in regards to like exercises and then the foods that one needs to eat, and then even like breathing techniques. I'm gonna definitely do a video on breathing. It's probably not gonna be tomorrow. I may do that video maybe Saturday, man, on the proper way to breathe. Because a lot of people don't breathe correctly. We have been misinformed in regards to breathing. So I'm definitely gonna do a video here soon on how to breathe. As crazy as that may sound, like that video is necessary. But I got a lot of stuff I got a lot of stuff I'm cooking up in regards to books. I got a lot of different books that I'm cooking up. I got a book that I'm cooking up that revolves around like the subconscious mind. Then I got one that I'm working on in regards to like health and fitness, man. So I got 2 books that I'm working on off the top that should be done here shortly. So I got a lot of stuff that I'm cooking up. But like I said, man, it's been a nice stream, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in as always, man. I'm gonna be back tomorrow. Don't know what the topic is, man. Y'all know how I get down. However I'm feeling when I wake up, man. That's how I determine the topic for the day. So I don't know what the topic will be tomorrow. I'll figure that out when I wake up, and y'all gonna see the video before it's posted. Y'all gonna see the title and the topic. But I got to get out of here, y'all, man. Y'all have a peaceful rest of the Wednesday. Stay productive. Get some things done.